Hey Star Wars fans, welcome back to Rebel Watch. I'm Ez, and today we're talking about Inferno Squad, a brand new Star Wars novel just released a few days ago. It was written by Christie, and it's epic. I'm here to tell you, I just finished reading it 20 minutes ago and thoroughly enjoyed it. Could not put it down. I've never rooted harder for a group of Imperials as I did in these past 12 hours. Normally I'm a big-time Rebel fanboy, really into the Jedi and the lighter side of the Force, but this book was interesting. It was interesting to see things from a different perspective and through the lens of Iden Versio. Iden Versio is portrayed by Janina Gavankar in Battlefront 2. She also narrates the story on Audible.com. So let's talk about the story just a little bit and why and where it takes place. This story takes place right after Episode 4, right after the destruction of the first Death Star. Battlefront 2, the story mode, the campaign, is going to take us beyond Episode 6, maybe their last mission or something with the contingency plan from Palpatine, which will be interesting. But we need to figure out who this group is, who these characters are, and why they're so notorious and well known. And this book does that. It really does. I care about this squad. I think they're cool. I think they're interesting, which is awesome. So one of the reasons the squad was created, I want to talk about this, and this is a tidbit spoiler related, but it makes a lot of sense. If you think about the Death Star when it's destroyed, Galen Erso is a big part of that. He's a big reason as to why it was destroyed. He's this Imperial who is harboring a grudge, and he builds a flaw in the Death Star and shares it with the rebels. So this group is sort of a cleaning group. In a sense, they want to stop the leaks. They want to clean up these things that are happening inside of the Empire. They're supposed to go around secretly and confront other Imperials or Grand Moffs or what have you that are harming the Empire from the inside out. And I think that's hard for a lot of these four diehard characters who make up the Inferno Squad are hardcore Imperials, and it's interesting to see them have to face some of the realities of the Empire that they really maybe didn't know as well. So people who are betraying the Empire, and then also some of the things that the Empire is doing to its citizens or to people, or even just getting that other opinion from this group that they're going to face. So it starts off with a couple of different mini stories there, and then we build to a bigger story. And I think that some of this has already been released and revealed, but there's a group known as the Partisans, which were led by Saul Guerrera. And his group, that partisan group, is sort of fragmented and split, and a group known as the Dreamers have emerged. And so this story talks about Inferno Squad and how they're going to confront the Dreamers. And I don't want to go into too many more details about that because it's interesting what they have to do to confront this group. And sometimes you think about leaks. They're kind of a secretive group. They're special ops, but at the same time they're secretive and they have to infiltrate. So they're going to have to do some dirty work here to get the answers that they need and to stop the Dreamers. There's not a lot of Easter eggs in this book. There are a few. There's some droids mentioned, some alien species that you'll recognize. There's a new planet, which is interesting, and there are references though to some Clone Wars animated characters, which I thought was really interesting and really cool. And one of those characters is huge. And make sure you read the epilogue of this story because there's something pretty big revealed about one of those characters. Let's see other things that happen in the story. It's really more about watching these characters have to listen and see the hatred that some factions and some people in the galaxy have towards the Empire. And so they get to witness that, and then we, the reader, get to sort of witness how they feel this responsibility towards Imperial citizens. We often think that the rebels are freedom fighters, right? They're fighting for independence and to sort of save the galaxy, right, from this tyrannical empire, but they don't see it that way. And you often see citizens in this story who talk to stormtroopers and look to them for protection and stability and order. And so I think that's really interesting to see, and you get a lot of that, which is interesting. One of the other really fascinating parts about this story, and I believe I believe we saw this. Yeah, we did in Battlefront 2. Garrick Versio is still alive. He's going to be in that Battlefront 2 game. So this dynamic that starts, you get to learn about Iden Versio and Garrick Versio and their relationship and Versios in general and how she was raised, which is similar to the other 3 members of Inferno Squad, but different in a sense. So she's a really cool character, and then her relationship with her mother is also really interesting, and it pulls at the heartstring. This story is emotional. It's there's a lot of action. It's just good. It's just downright good. It's a good story. So I'm trying to think. One thing I mentioned the epilogue before. These characters, there's a lot of ambiguity to them and to the story, and so things are not always clear cut. Which I like, and so something sort of happens towards the end of the story that you really need to pay attention to, and I think that tells us more about who, especially 2 of these members, are in Inferno Squad. I think one of them is, I'll just go ahead and say his name, Del Miko, and Iden are very dynamic. I think they were changed by the experiences in this book, and I'll talk more about that in our spoilers review. But I think it's cool when you have dynamic characters who change and evolve over a story. You had a few who did not, and relationships are kind of strained in this book, but that's interesting, and it also sort of opened me up to sort of look at Iden and Del Miko and think, I like those guys. I like those characters. That was interesting, and I want to, the more I read the book, the more I wanted to persuade them, to join the rebellion, or to see things from our point of view. And they do in a sense, and I think that's part of that's what's cool about it being ambiguous is that you can see both sides of the coin in this story, which is interesting, and I think it's sort of what Disney and what this new sort of these storytellers are doing in these new novels and in canon, is we're getting to see things from the Imperial perspective, which is really cool. So, but towards the end of the epilogue there, Iden makes a decision that is caught by one other member of her crew that I think is huge, very telling of her and who she is as a person and as a character. So I would pay close attention to that when you're reading this story, and look for other Easter eggs. Like I said, there's not too many. There's a couple of droids that are interesting and what have you, but other than that, that's about it. Just wanted to kind of tell you guys how awesome this book is. You should go out there and pick it up and read it yourself. Stay tuned for more. We're going to have a spoilers review / discussion with Mike and the rest of the crew coming up in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that. And as always, may the Force be with you.